Verse 9 of the Isha Upanishad says, "They who worship avidya alone fall into blind darkness, and they who worship vidya alone fall into even greater darkness." What does this mean? Let's start by understanding the two key terms here, avidya and vidya. Avidya in this context does not just mean ignorance in the way we normally think of it. It actually refers to actions, rituals, duties, and the worldly things we do to live a good life, like performing religious ceremonies, working hard for our family, and even following moral principles. These are good things, but the verse warns that if we focus only on these, we can fall into blind darkness. Why? Because if we get too attached to rituals and actions without understanding their deeper meaning, we become trapped in the cycle of birth and death. Imagine a person who spends their whole life working, making money, taking care of their responsibilities, but never takes a moment to ask, why am I here? What is the ultimate truth? That person, despite being hardworking and even religious, is still lost in spiritual darkness because they haven't realized the ultimate truth about the self and the universe. Now, let's look at the other side, vidya, which means knowledge. But here, it specifically refers to knowledge of the divine, the higher truths, the study of spiritual concepts, and deep meditation. You might think, well, that sounds great. Why would the verse say that those who pursue knowledge alone fall into even greater darkness? Here's why. If a person only focuses on spiritual knowledge, studying scriptures, meditating all day, and discussing deep philosophical ideas, but completely ignores action, duty, and the practical aspects of life, then they are also lost. They might think they are enlightened, but in reality, they are disconnected from the real world, detached from humanity, and living in an illusion. It's like someone who spends all their time reading about how to swim but never actually gets into the water. Or a person who studies medicine their entire life but never actually treats a patient. Their knowledge, no matter how deep, is incomplete because it is not applied. So what's the lesson here? The Upanishad is telling us that both paths, action, avidya, and knowledge, vidya, when followed alone, lead to darkness. One makes you worldly but ignorant of your true self, while the other makes you spiritually knowledgeable but disconnected from real life. The real wisdom lies in balancing both. This is why the great philosopher Adi Shankaracharya commented on this verse to explain its deeper meaning. He said that the Vedas show us two main paths. One, the path of knowledge, where one renounces worldly desires and seeks the ultimate truth. And two, the path of action, where one engages in duties, rituals, and responsibilities. The Upanishads guide us to combine both in a meaningful way. Think about it, our lives are full of both material and spiritual elements. We need food, shelter, relationships, and responsibilities. At the same time, we also need meaning, wisdom, and inner peace. If we focus too much on one and ignore the other, we suffer. A person who only works for money without any higher understanding feels empty inside. A person who only meditates and avoids responsibilities may feel peaceful but will struggle with practical life. So, what is the ideal path? The Upanishads suggest that we must integrate both, live in the world, do our duties, perform good actions, but also develop a deeper understanding of the ultimate truth. Work, but don't get attached to the results. Learn, but don't let that learning make you arrogant or disconnected. Balance is key. Imagine a bird with two wings. One wing represents action, karma, and the other represents knowledge, jnana. If you try to fly with just one wing, you will keep going in circles and never take off. But if you use both wings together in harmony, you can soar high and reach great heights. This verse is not condemning either action or knowledge. It is warning us against extremism. Too much involvement in rituals and work without inner reflection makes us blind to the truth. Too much obsession with knowledge without action makes us impractical and useless to society. The ideal way is to blend both, be active in the world while maintaining awareness of the higher truth. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches Arjuna a similar idea: don't renounce action, but perform it selflessly without attachment. That's the real secret. So, The next time you find yourself caught up in the busy material world, chasing success, remind yourself to also seek deeper understanding. And if you ever find yourself lost in spiritual thought, remind yourself that true wisdom is not just about knowing. It's about living and applying that knowledge in real life. That is the wisdom of the Isha Upanishad. Balance your life with both action and knowledge, and you will walk the path of true enlightenment.